And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Echo down to nominal.
Fighting downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange! 145!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, you know.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane would be igniting the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Yikes, you bet concur. Welcome to another NASA Spaceflight live stream. I'm Jack Beyer for NSF, and tonight, you guessed it, we are launching more internet satellites into space, also known as Starlink Mission 6-30. And yes, those are 4 lightning towers you're looking at. So this is, of course, Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. I will be your host for tonight's broadcast, but as ever, I am joined by our competent cohort of co-hosts, starting off with Mr. Sawyer Rosenstein. Sawyer, how you doing, buddy?
Good. It's actually Rosenstein, but it's close enough. But I guess you could say either or either. It's a great night for a launch, though. Everything looks pretty good up to this point, and excited for the countdown and another gorgeous Florida night launch.
How have I gotten your name right so many times and yet I got it wrong tonight? I hate myself. Moving right along.
It's because it's late at night. It's 10:40 p.m. Eastern time.
I'm just going to beat him to it. These late night Starlinks do be hitting different. Speaking of the person that always says that, Max, out in the field operating cameras for us. Max, how are you doing this evening?
Good evening, everybody. It is a gorgeous, but in my opinion, very chilly night here on the Space Coast. But it is wonderful to be back after spending a whole week in Starbase.
What do you define as chilly, Max?
It is currently, check the weather app real quick, 57 degrees, which actually is pretty chilly for a lot of people. Like, it's cold enough to where I am actually wearing a beanie. So take that for what it's worth.
That is about
Nice.
13.8 degrees Celsius, by the way.
Thank you, Sawyer. Yeah, I would count that as chilly, as a person with extremely thin blood. Also, on tonight's broadcast, we have Miss Julia Bergeron out in the field. Julia, do we have you?
Yes, you have me, Jack. Hi, everybody, and welcome back, Max. It is a pleasure to have you back in town.
Good deal. All right, well, we will be doing our standard NASA spaceflight thing here, where if you have any questions, you can type them into chat, just at NASA Spaceflight, and we will see your questions pop up in some software that we have running in the background. But for a quick overview of tonight's mission, Sawyer, why don't you give us the rundown here?
Absolutely. If you've seen the most recent Starlink launches of these V2 mini satellites, then you're pretty familiar with what's going up today. This is another 23 Starlink V2 mini internet satellites that are going into the usual orbit that we expect for these of about 500 kilometers circular once all is said and done, slightly inclined, and this one is going to be a beautiful Falcon 9 launch with a downrange booster landing.
Good deal. Slightly inclined, which is the opposite of me right now. I am slightly reclined. I hope you enjoyed that one, Sawyer.
That was good.
Yeah, thanks. Good deal. Julia, you want to tell us a little bit about tonight's first stage booster? How many missions does this booster have on it? What booster is this? And what barge is it landing on?
Well, tonight we are awaiting the launch of Booster 1062. This will be its 17th flight. Fun fact, this is a very private mission-oriented booster. Its history started with GPS-3 SVO4, then we went to GPS-3 SVO5, on to one of my favorite missions, absolutely favorite, Inspiration 4. Then its very first Starlink, add in Axiom 1, another exciting private mission. Starlink, Nihilosat, Starlink. You see where we're going here? I'm going to sneak in OneWeb, Arabsat, Starlink, and one more final Starlink. The last one it flew was 6:23, and we're already in launch 6:30. So we're coming along this year, aren't we, guys?
Good deal. And I see that we have a tweet from SpaceX saying that propellant load for tonight's launch has begun. So that's exactly what we want to see. All systems and weather are currently go for launch in just under 33 minutes.
By the way, if I may, Jack, I realized I was really vague in my numbers before when I say like slightly inclined. I should probably be more specific. It is 43 degrees inclined orbit. Its final orbit is 530 kilometers, but the initial parking orbit's about 285 by 293.
Excellent. You know what? Why don't we just take a look at the trajectory for tonight's launch? I believe it is going southeast out of the Cape, as is tradition. So if you're wondering if it'll be visible for you, South Florida, probably, depending on weather. In North Florida, maybe a little bit less, right, Sawyer?
Yeah, it's a lot harder, at least northwestern portion. Usually the west coast, if you're near the Cape, straight across from it, you're pretty good. Definitely the entire southeastern part of Florida, the Bahamas there, all of that definitely visible. And that is the 43-degree inclination you can kind of see as it's going down range there. And a reminder, those yellow marks, that is keep out zones for boats. Notice to mariners because of the planned landing of the booster and the landing of the fairings as well, with the recovery ship 618 kilometers downrange and fairing recovery area zone 678 kilometers downrange.
Excellent. Excellent. What do we cover? I don't think we covered it yet. What drone ship are we landing on tonight? I'll throw this one to Max. Sorry, Julia. I know you're the resident barge chaser of NSF, but Max hasn't gotten to say anything cool yet. So, Max, what drone ship are we going to tonight?
So tonight, booster B1062 is heading downrange towards Just Read the Instructions. So it is one of the more veteran landing barges currently in SpaceX's fleet. So very well fitting. Very well fitting.
Excellent.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, if my memory is right on this would be the 69th landing on Just Read the Instructions. Nice.
Nice. Really quickly, just to hit some support that's coming in, Maggie M, thank you for becoming a Red Team member, and the Welsh Padre with a 5 Curly L super chat. Thank you so much. They say, good morning to all. It's 3:50 a.m., but I had to watch yet another fantastic stream. And how long do you think before Starship Test Flight 3? I'm going to say my customary answer, which is February, March-ish. Sawyer, what do you think?
Oh yeah, it'll definitely Q1 of next year. It's just a matter of, like you said, probably February or March. I'll be excited when we get to that point, and also excited, though, hopefully by then we'll know if we end up hitting the 100th launch mark this year, which we're getting close.
We are indeed getting close. Max, what do you think, Starship Flight 3? Max?
He's speechless. Or just
All right,
muted, one or the other.
All right, so we can all agree that Stubby Nozzle Bad and Starhopper's proper nickname is Hopper. Julia, what do you think about Starship Flight 3?
I totally agree. It's Hopper, and I think Hopper's going to see another flight. Maybe Valentine's Day. That's my goal.
That would be cool. Max, do we have you back?
Yeah.
I would sure hope so, because you just were speaking a lot of blasphemy there for a second there, Jack.
Facts.
I think
one man's blasphemy is another man's facts.
it might be worth being a little bit bold here in saying that I honestly wouldn't completely rule out a December attempt for Flight 3. If that doesn't happen, depending on how the testing campaigns go for both the next ship and booster, more realistically, I would say within the first couple of weeks of January. That's my prediction.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think the sort of long pole here will be the anomaly investigation. So it really sort of depends on how that is going to go. And it really feels like vehicle readiness, ground support, equipment readiness, and all of that will not be the things holding SpaceX up here. But we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. Tonight is not about Starship, though. It's about Starlink. So keep your questions coming. We have some good ones already piling up here in the queue. Right off the bat, James Howard is asking, stubby nozzle tonight, question mark? Who wants to take that one? Not Max.
Well, come on.
The answer is no, based off the trajectory where these are going and the fact that, again, they've upped these from 22 to 23, so they're going to need their engine that can provide the most impulse to get them into orbit. They go with the full-size nozzle as opposed to the ugly stubby.
Right, so they're using the good nozzle tonight. Excellent. Max, a rebuttal?
I just want to plug my ears, to be honest with you. At this point, I can't take it anymore.
Well, don't do that. You won't be able to hear the launch.
Fair point, Sawyer. Fair point.
Speaking of hearing the launch, Max, weather conditions, I mean, you mentioned it's already fairly chilly, but how else are we looking in terms of weather out there tonight at the Cape?
It is actually looking quite beautiful tonight. The only clouds in the sky currently are some high altitude wispies, as I like to say. And we are also under a full moon here over at the Kennedy Space Center, looking out towards like 40, with an absolutely glorious, wow, that's gotten even bigger. There is a huge lunar halo or moon dog right above our heads. And there's a slight breeze coming out from the north, but otherwise conditions tonight are looking just about perfect. It is stunning out here, minus it being chilly, of course.
Excellent. And yes, high altitude wispies, I believe, is a technical meteorological terminology. So good on you for that. Let's see, RC Horseman gifting a Red Team membership. Thank you, RC Horseman. One of those names that pops up all the time. And Bartsy gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you both for that. Membership program is integral to helping us do what we do here at NASA Spaceflight. So thank you to everyone who is a member or who gifts memberships. We truly couldn't do what we do without y'all, and you get cool perks in return. So if you just got a membership gifted to you, be sure to check out the community tab on YouTube on our page there so that you can check out some of the sweet members-only perks. We have a poll in chat. Stubby nozzle, question mark, good or bad? I'm going to say bad.
I've already voted for bad.
Obviously, it's good in the sense that it enables a higher launch cadence, but just in terms of aesthetics, I think we can all agree that it's horrible moving right along so that Max can't complain. I really thought you were going to complain. JBS Travel, thank you for the $5 super chat. We appreciate it. They're saying, everyone say, hi, Max. Hi, Max.
Hi, Max. Or better yet, hi, Bob. For those who watch the show.
Good deal. Ooh, look, it's the moon. Speaking of the full moon, any thoughts on if we'll get a moon jellyfish tonight? What do you think? I'll start with Julia. Julia, think we might get a moon jelly tonight?
That might be a possibility. Because that moon's like right over where I'm going to see that rocket pass me by, and that means Max is going to see the engine end of it. So yeah, you guys might see one.
Max, what do you think?
Chances are very high tonight. With the moon being full, and it seems a bit brighter than it normally is. Maybe that's a byproduct of all the clouds hanging around. But I think for one reason or another, tonight's launch is going to be spectacular.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. For those who do not know what the heck a moon jelly is, so if you launch a rocket at the exact right time, sunset or sunrise, you can get some really beautiful lighting effects on the exhaust plume due to the position of the observer, or camera in any case, being in shadow while the plume of the rocket ascends into the sunlight. But the moon jelly is sort of a complementary, but not exactly the same phenomenon. But essentially, with this nice bright full moon, hopefully when we see Falcon 9 lift off, we will see some beautiful plume effects and lighting from that full moon. Hard to say until we see it, but something to look out for tonight's launch as we tick ever closer to liftoff of this vehicle in just about 23 minutes. Can you not bite my hand, please? I'm sorry, this dog is trying to eat me. Moving right along.
Jack, that's when we're in private.
Oh man. Amiga clone with a really... Sorry, what, Julia? That was a little bit robot.
Did you have bacon before the stream? Is that the problem?
I
There
did
you
not
go.
have bacon before the stream. That might be the problem. I didn't placate the dog with bacon beforehand. This is an interesting question from Amiga Clone. They're asking, when will we see a return to launch site Starlink mission? Is that something we'll ever see? To me, no, because they want to maximize the amount of satellites per launch. But anyone have any thoughts here? Sawyer, we'll go with you first.
The answer is yes. We don't know exactly which mission will be first, but SpaceX has gone and gotten the applications and everything that they need for return to launch site missions, where they land down at the landing zone for these Starlink missions, which I think is also going to be key, since next year the plan is for 144 total missions launched by SpaceX in the calendar year. So to make that happen, you're going to need to do some RTLS missions. But the paperwork is in place that if they so choose, they can do it.
Excellent. Well, shows what I know. Julia, you sounded like you had something to say there before I threw that to Sawyer. What's on your mind?
Sawyer caught it before me, but he kind of stole the words out of my mouth. You can't land 2 rockets on the same drone ship. I mean, maybe you think you can, but it's not practical. And if we're going to get to that many launches, either you need another drone ship or you need to return them to land. So each mission, sometimes we notice a little bit less of this or more of that in our profile. And I think they're just trying to figure out exactly what Falcon 9 can handle so that it has enough fuel to get back on a more regular basis.
Good deal. Okay, so the poll has closed, but we don't need to talk about the results because it's moot and it's a kangaroo court. Means nothing. We're just going to move right along.
I'm just going to
for
say,
those wondering, actually, the poll results actually came out as stubby nozzle good at 64% compared to 35% bad. So
wait,
sorry, gentlemen.
where'd that 1% go? That's 99. That makes
Don't
no
worry
sense,
about it.
YouTube. But what does make sense is the T-minus 20-minute vent, which you should be seeing right about now. And there it is.
Excellent. Sawyer, tell us what we're seeing with this vent, which happens like clockwork every time Falcon 9 is getting too close to launch. And here we are, T-minus 20 minutes, and we're seeing the event like clockwork, which is exactly what we want to see. But Sawyer, tell us a little bit more about what it is exactly that we're seeing.
Almost like I was trying to time my timing to hit 20 minutes and 20 seconds, which is exactly when we do hit what we here at NSF like to nickname the best vent. That is the point when RP1, which is rocket grade kerosene, is going into the first stage. It is done, or the second stage, excuse me, that's when it finishes. There is now this gap where they sort of purge the line out that they used to fill it, get rid of any residuals, cool the line down to the temperatures needed for the liquid oxygen, and once that venting stops, that will be the indication that liquid oxygen load has begun on the second stage. And for reference, this whole time, RP1 and Loxygen have been loading into the first stage.
Excellent. Excellent. So this is precisely what we want to see at this point in time in the count to know that things are progressing as they should. And that's why we call it the best vent, because it helps us know, hey, things are on track. Going back to the stubby nozzle discussion really quickly, because I have to, Scott Doyle says performance greater than aesthetics. Well, then the standard nozzle is better because it has better performance. So moving right along.
Truth.
But it weighs more and it costs more to make, so it depends on what type of performance you're looking at there.
It has higher performance. It has higher ISP, higher performance, equal better.
Bigger is not always better. And
Moving right along, Stephen Fairs, thank you for the $20 super chat. We really appreciate that generous amount of support. They say, guys, I will run around, try to catch you if you get launched. I don't get it, but sure, that's awful nice of you. Greg Fischel's YouTube channel, thank you for the support. They say, I'm old enough to remember Frank Borman reading from the book of Genesis on Christmas Eve while orbiting the moon in Apollo 8. Space travel never gets old. Indeed, it really does not. Thank you so
Love
much,
that.
Greg, for the support there.
Thank you to all of you on the good earth,
Nice.
which was part of the quote. That's how they signed off.
Yeah, no, we know, Sawyer, but the audience might not, but we know. Looks like Michael grabbing a calendar from the shop. Thank you for doing that, Michael. As a reminder, if you get both calendars, you get a discount. Let's see here. Let's do some more questions. How about? What do you guys think about more questions? You want to do more questions?
Yes.
Or should we just argue about the nozzle for the next 17 minutes?
Or I could also mention the fact that the current launch time in UTC is 0420.
Nice.
Now let's do questions.
Let's do questions. C. Collins is asking, why are only 3 of the towers blinking instead of 4? I did not notice that, but sure enough, it appears that 3 of the 4 are blinking and 1 of the 4 are not. Is not. Words. Can I say them? What's going on with that? Do we have any indication of what's going on there? Maybe the bulb's just burnt out? Max, I'm going to throw this one to you, buddy.
I believe he's busy at the moment.
Oh, well then go ahead, Sawyer.
Go ahead, Julia.
I was going to say, from my perspective, it also looks like 3, but I also have a processing building in kind of in my way. Part of that just could be because they've been doing that construction at the pad. It's just possible one of the towers isn't working, or maybe the crane is counting kind of as a tower right now. I don't have the best explanation for it, but trust me, there is no helicopter that's going to run into that tower. It's pretty bright.
It could also
Right.
potentially be that just from our camera angle, it's at a different point, but
I'm not seeing on the other tower that it would be facing if it was facing away from us. I'm not seeing any flashes of light, so I'm inclined to believe that that 4th tower does not have a flashing light on it at the moment.
when you're launching one rocket every 3 to 4 days, it's kind of expected that a light bulb may go out.
Right. Yeah, the cadence of SpaceX's launches this year has been truly astounding. And with that, what number launch will this be on the quest to hit 100 in this calendar year? I'm going to throw that one to Sawyer.
I'm trying to look up the number. My spreadsheets are not as good as Max and Alex and everyone else. Hopefully Alex will come in, or someone, with the exact number here momentarily. It's 82, 83, somewhere around there. Give me a moment, I'll get to the exact number.
Oh, I don't want us to get copyright strike.
Yeah, Jeopardy music will. But yes, of the number of launches for SpaceX this year. I apologize, I should know this. I just don't have a spreadsheet like everyone else does. 89, excuse me. There we go. 89th launch of the year.
Excellent.
And the 10th of this month if you count Starship. So that would mean, again, if you count Starship there, that would tie the record for the most number of SpaceX launches in a month.
Excellent. Truly astounding. And sort of a follow-on to this question, Kevin Bradford is asking, do we think SpaceX will in fact reach 100 launches this year? What do we think? We're going to go around the horn. We're going to start with Julia. Julia, do you think they're going to hit 100?
It's going to be close, but I don't think we're going to hit 100. Not quite. Sorry.
I mean, hey, if you're aiming for 100 and you get 95, that's not bad at all. That's still an A.
Considering when I first moved here, we had 1, maybe 2 launches a month total. I am ecstatic at what we're doing now.
Indeed. Max, what do you think? 100 this year or no? Do we have you back, Max?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Unfortunately.
Oh, snapjack! Yikes, that hurt. Give me some cold water for that burn. It's gonna be really close. I think if they can get this one off and the upcoming one off at Vandenberg on time, I wouldn't rule it out completely. If they don't get it, I would probably say that it will end up probably at either 98 or 99. But either way, it's going to be really close.
Sawyer, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with 98. Again, if they're hitting 9 or 10 a month, uh, assuming that this is potentially the last one for this month, with there being 3 days left after this, I think that it will be close, but not exactly 100. They would have to break their current record of more than 10 launches a month to hit that.
Right. Well, like I said, if you aim for 100 and you get 95 or 98 or somewhere in the 90s, which I think we can all agree they'll hit somewhere in the 90s. Is that a fair assessment? Everyone just grunt in unison if you agree.
They just have to have one more launch,
Yep.
and then they're at 90.
Yeah, so
more
they're
after
gonna hit 90s, and that's an A grade, right? That's 90 out of 100. That's well, technically depends on what grading scale. 94, whatever. Either way, I mean, come on. You aim for 100 and you get really close, and I'm sure next year there will be even more. Well, Chad is grunting in unison. Thank you,
Hey,
Chad.
there we go.
It's an odd experience. You know what's also an odd experience? Walking into a building or a friend's place and seeing your artwork on their wall. And if you want to have our artwork on your wall, why, we have some metal prints for you. We have some awesome shots from Integrated Flight Test 2. Here's one from myself. We also have an amazing image from Max as well, which showcases the Mega Mach diamonds. And you know what? We have images from all kinds of rockets. And the cool thing about the metal prints is, one, yes, they're printed directly on metal, and two, they're super easy to hang, and they look great. But the really cool thing, I guess I'm a little biased, is when you buy a metal print, part of the proceeds from that sale go to the photographer who took that photo. So it not only helps out NSF, it not only gives you a super cool thing to hang on your wall. Gosh, Max, what a killer shot. Oh, I'm mad at you for that shot. That's such a good shot. But yeah, it helps out the photographer. So thank you so much to everyone for considering metal prints. And if you buy one and get another one, you get 30% off, which is part of our Cyber Monday, Black Friday, whatever sale you want to call it. And that's valid for like another hour. So
basically, as long as this launch is going on and we're live, you'll be able to get it. After that, it's questionable.
Right. So if you want one of those images, or rather two of them, and you want a sweet deal, I would recommend doing it right now before you forget. And gosh, we sure appreciate it, especially whichever photographer whose work you are choosing to explicitly support. Max, just once again, Max, because I've given you so much guff on this stream, and always, I must publicly congratulate you on capturing perhaps the very best imagery from Integrated Flight Test 2. So grab one of Max's prints. He deserves the praise. Max, good job, Max.
I'm merely a work in progress, Jack, but thank you.
And I think it's fun
Hey.
to note, though, that all four of us have prints in that shop, by the way. All of us that are on air tonight. So
Indeed. So like I said, all kinds of different vehicles, all kinds of different shots. So check it out. And hey, get 30% off. Anyways, we're under 10 minutes to go here. Let's answer some more questions before we have to bid Max adieu to operate a camera for us. CS Miller in chat says, still grunting. Okay. I don't know what to do with that, but there you go. Real Jack Frost, thank you for the super chat, and our family also thank you for the super chat. Let's do some more questions. Haven Studios is asking, when was the last time we had a flight number 1 on a booster? Who wants to take that one? Just jump right in.
I do.
I believe that was okay. Go ahead, Sawyer.
No, you got it, Max?
Fight.
Ding,
Ding,
ding.
ding, ding. Ooh. I think the last time we had a Falcon 9 with a brand new booster, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was Crew 7.
You are correct.
Crew 7. But the last time we saw a brand new booster on any pad in general, I believe was the core stage, or was the center core on Psyche's Falcon Heavy.
B1079.
That's sweet. There we go.
Yes. And B1081 flew Crew 7 on its first flight. So yes, if you were counting Falcon 9, you nailed them both for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy center core.
Well, guess what? You're both wrong because we just had Booster 9's first flight.
Yeah, wait till that flies for the second time.
Ouch.
But I'm correct. I'm technically correct, which is, as we all know, the best kind of correct.
But we're talking about Falcon 9 today, Jack.
Yeah,
All
just
right,
because you're
fine.
down to Starbase all the
As
time.
you said yourself,
All right, fine. You know what? You are also technically correct. Oh man. Let's do some more questions. Adam J is asking, do we think they will retire Falcon 9 once Starship is operational, or do we think Falcon 9 will be used for small and light payloads at that point? Max, this one's for you, buddy.
It is going to take a long time to fully retire Falcon 9. Starship has to become completely operational, crew rated, incredibly reliable for both large and small payloads and all kinds of orbits. So Falcon 9 already does that both for crew and for cargo and other payloads as well. So I can't see Falcon 9 being retired before the mid 2030s probably. It's going to take a very long time, but eventually Falcon 9 will be retired, but there's no telling exactly when that will be.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Sawyer, any thoughts?
It is announced that Falcon 9 will retire, so it will happen. It's just a question of getting Starship up and running, as well as completing all the current contracts that they already have that they can only complete with Falcon 9 or Falcon Heavy.
Good deal. Julia, are you leaving to go take photos? Or have you
I
already
will
left?
be leaving shortly. No, I will be leaving shortly, and I will let you know when I can come on and give you launch reactions and hopefully a pretty picture.
Excellent. We will keep our eyes and ears open for that. Thank you, Julia. Good luck, Godspeed, and take some cool photos. Speaking of Max, we also need to send you off, do we not?
I believe that time has come, unfortunately, but hope that's for everyone else's benefit. So, good luck, gentlemen, and I will see you all on the other side.
You will indeed. Have a good shoot. Get some cool photons. We know you will because you're Max. But with that, there are only two. Sawyer, it's you and I. Should we trash talk the stubby nozzle?
I mean, I'm down.
Stubby nozzle bad.
Stubby nozzle very bad, and no one can argue.
Right, is the official position of NSF that stubby nozzle bad. Moving right
Despite
along.
the 99% pull.
Yeah. Oh man. C.S. Miller is asking, I noticed on the tracking map the trajectory curves around Africa. Do they usually do that? Wouldn't it be high enough to fly over land at that point? Sawyer, what's the deal with the trajectory? Is that a normal thing? It seems normal to me.
That is actually for the second stage. They also have to put out Mars notice to mariners for wherever the second stage is set to re-enter, just in case any pieces of debris don't burn up and end up splashing down in the ocean. So typically along the coast of South Africa there is where it will start to burn up, so you have a chance to see it if you're down that way, and then any remains would splash into the Indian Ocean.
Good deal. Just under 5 minutes to go. And hopefully we will see SpaceX light this candle and send 23 more Starlink satellites hauling butt into space.
Now, it might be difficult to see because, again, we have the new crew access tower in the way, but right about now, at T-minus 4 minutes, 30 seconds, they will start to slowly retract the TE, the transporter erector, what, as it says, brought the rocket out to the pad and lifted it up. It also has connections to the ground for power, electricity, fuel, air conditioning for the satellites because it's Florida, and that will retract about 2 degrees. It will throw back completely when we get to T0 to be out of the way of the rocket at liftoff.
Good deal. Sort of related, we have a question from Dragonfruit asking, how long does it take to set up the rocket for launch? Not like build it, but launching, setting it up. Any indications on what sort of time that takes SpaceX?
I mean, typically from the time that we see it roll out of the hangar, the horizontal integration facility, they've gotten it down to about 3 to 4 hours now. This one has been out for almost a day, But they also then have to keep in mind that you have the satellite integration, so getting all of the Starlinks in there, attached to the dispenser mechanism, encapsulated in the fairing. Then they roll it out to the horizontal integration facility, attach it to the second stage before rolling it out. So it's a little bit of a process. It can take a couple weeks.
All right, then. Let's see here. Really quickly, David, grabbing something from the store. They say, enjoy the coverage. Saw the moon landing on a small TV my dad hooked up while camping. You had a TV while camping in the 60s? That's wild. But awesome. Thanks for joining us for tonight's launch. Jim, grabbing 2 things from the store, which I suspect are metal prints. Thank you, Jim, for doing so and for the kind words. Yes, indeed, they got some metal prints. Good job. And Jeremy, also grabbing something from the store. Joe, grabbing something from the store. 2 things, I suspect metal prints, and Anonymous as well. Thank you all so much for your generous support.
If I may
Sawyer.
jump in, at this point we have confirmation that liquid oxygen load, LOX, is complete on the first stage. There is now just one more completion that we should be getting hopefully soon. That is the liquid oxygen on the second stage. You will also notice that by the giant puff of smoke or vapor as we saw with the T-minus 20-minute vent. That typically occurs at about T-minus 90 seconds.
Good deal. And so that should be coming up here shortly. And that's sort of similar to what happens with the T-minus 20-minute vent, right, Sawyer? That's what you just said?
Yeah, it's especially with the liquid oxygen, which is very flammable. They use typically it's liquid nitrogen to purge the lines, get rid of any excess gases that may be built up in there, push them all away from the rocket, so that nothing accidentally ignites when you have 9 Merlin engines passing by it.
Excellent.
And
And
stage
that
2
should-
LOX load is complete, which means that all of the fuel tanks aboard Falcon 9 or propellant tanks are completely loaded.
Good deal. And you can see that puff of vapor there. And also you can see John grabbed some metal prints from the store. Thank you, John. Thank you for doing that. All right, we are coming up on T-minus 1 minute here in about 15 seconds. So at that point, Sawyer, what happens with Falcon 9?
Actually, a lot. That is when the vehicle transitions to all of its onboard computers taking control of the count, known as Falcon 9 entering startup. That is also when all of the tanks inside pressurize up to flight pressure for a little extra rigidity for the vehicle on the way up. And
Excellent.
we have Falcon 9 in startup confirmed.
All right, 45 seconds to go. We will do our usual thing here. And when the rocket lifts off the pad, we will shut our mouths and we can all listen to the glorious sound of 9 Merlin engines lofting these satellites into space. So
And at
once
T-minus 30
again,
seconds, we have confirmation from the launch director. We are go for launch.
excellent. We are go for launch. Once again, this is Starlink 6-30 out of Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. T-minus 15. Let's light this candle. Here we go. T-minus 10. Any last words, Sawyer?
Go, internet satellites, go.
Yes, indeed. 3, 2, 1. And ignition. And there you have it. Liftoff of Falcon 9 from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Let's listen in to those Merlins roar.
The vehicle has passed max Q, maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. You could see the plume of the 9 Merlin 1D engines expanding as it gets into that thinner atmosphere. And apologies to all the headphone users out there about the sudden launch audio.
Yeah, that is sort of one of the most beautiful phenomena of these launches is seeing the exhaust plume expand as the vehicle ascends into lower and lower pressure. So keep your eyes open and we'll continue to see that plume expand as Falcon 9 continues to ascend. So what do we have coming up next, Sawyer?
Next, we have 3 events in rapid succession, first being MECO, main engine cutoff, when the 9 Merlin 1D engines shut down, followed by the separation of those first and second stages, and then just a couple seconds after that, the second engine startup 1 will begin. That is when the single Merlin vacuum engine ignites to help propel those satellites into their initial parking orbit. And there's MECO.
All right, this is the point at which we might get a moon jelly.
And that appears to be SES-1. That looked like second stage ignition. Let's see the replay. Oh, nope, there we go.
Excellent.
At this point now, the first stage will also continue on its current trajectory towards the drone ship. Just read the instruction, located about 620 kilometers downrange.
Good deal. Max still tracking this thing. Good job, Max.
And that's meant sincerely, not in any joking kind of way. It's amazing the tracks that our team are able to get down there. And we'll keep an eye out to see if we do get that lunar jellyfish, which would be indicated by a whole sort of umbrella type of colors coming out the back of the rocket there. But we should have payload fairing separation now, and there we go, we have that confirmed. That's now exposing those V2 mini satellites to space.
Good deal, and those fairings will float. Can we say they'll float? They'll fall back to Earth and be recovered from the surface of the ocean. I guess that at that point, when they hit the ocean, they will be floating.
Yes, it's a parachute system that they're able to use to kind of help guide it towards its basic splashdown area, and then the support ships that are out there to help finalize and secure the booster once it lands will also go and pick up the fairings.
Good deal. And here you can see the telemetry indicating that the booster is continuing to fall back towards the Earth, while the second stage is powering those satellites into orbit. And yes, your eyes are not deceiving you. That is the good nozzle.
And I should point out, by the way, the ship that is helping for this mission downrange is Bob.
Excellent. Max still tracking this thing. Way to go, Max. Holy cow, it's like 1 pixel.
But it is a bright pixel, and it's awesome that it's on air here. Love it.
It's the good kind of hot pixel.
Oh my gosh. That was good.
Excellent. All right, well, we will keep watching what's happening here. Sawyer, what is next for the first stage?
We're about 1 minute 20 seconds away or so from the first stage entry burn. That is when 3 of those 9 Merlin 1D engines will reignite for approximately 20 seconds. It may vary by a few seconds because it is all based off of telemetry data, and that will help slow it down for its re-entry into Earth's atmosphere again. You'll notice the speed actually pick up a little bit until the atmosphere gets thicker after that, but we should be able to see the glow of the engines, maybe a little plasma coming off of those waffle-like features that you can see when we see the booster shot. Those are the grid fins that will help steer it once it gets into those thicker parts of the atmosphere.
Yeah, I always love seeing that whenever we get it. The grid fins can truly put on a spectacular display. Also, when the booster is like going through clouds and you can see the grid fins like slice the clouds as the booster falls through them, that's always spectacular as well.
Always makes me want waffles.
Someone needs to make a grid fin waffle iron. It's just easy peasy. It's just sitting right there, low hanging fruit for the taking.
Storage
All right,
needs to get on it.
We're coming up on booster entry burn here. You will see that on the left-hand side of the screen as the booster literally protects itself from the heat of re-entry with the fire from the 9 Merlin engines. So
Real-time
fighting
should
fire
be happening about now if any of our cameras are able to catch it. Sorry.
No, very good. Fighting
You were
fire
saying
with
the
fire.
catchphrase. Yep.
Let's do it. Here we go.
That is a
That
view
is
from our
beautiful.
cameras.
That is beautiful. Fantastic work, Max.
That reddish color, by the way, completely normal. That's exactly what we expect to see during that stage 1 entry burn.
Absolutely beautiful. And there is our favorite view on launch day. Oh, never mind. That is an empty pad. That's what we want to see. All right, go back. No, go back to the other thing. I'm sorry. I'm bad. Yes. No, that's good.
And there we
Excellent.
go. We have
There's that
the
plasma.
cutoff.
There's that plasma on the grid fins we were just talking about, Sawyer.
Yes, and I always love to point this out. For those of you that watch our streams regularly, you're used to hearing this, but that is why those boosters keep getting so sooty. After this booster now on its 17th flight here, is the fuel, as mentioned, is RP1, which is a refined form of kerosene, which is carbon-based. And when carbon burns, it creates soot. And the fact that, like you said, it's fighting fire with fire, literally flying through its own flames, you're going to get that soot end up right on the booster.
Excellent. Julia, do we have you back? How was that?
Oh, that was a good one, Jack. I actually jumped because I could hear the pressure wave on the water, if that makes sense, and the water rippled, and I wasn't expecting that on the lagoon today.
Nice.
But it was a beautiful launch, and it was a lovely crackle, and I think a lovely picture to share really soon.
Oh, well, we're looking forward to it in the same way that we are looking forward to seeing this booster land on Just Read the Instructions here in just a moment.
Jealous
Let's
of the
see if-
pressure wave. We should be getting the landing burn starting up now any second, and there it goes.
There you go. I am also, for the record, jealous of the pressure wave. Here we go. Can they stick the landing? I mean, of course they're going to stick the landing. It's SpaceX, but can they stick the landing? Look at that blue. Beautiful blue color that you get with these night landings. And nice. Telemetry all the way down.
Not turtles.
Well, sometimes turtles. Sawyer, that little bit of flame there, that residual flame, we see that every time, right? Nothing to worry about.
Exactly. That is completely normal. And for those of you that like the landing statistics, that is the 175th consecutive landing of a booster, and as mentioned earlier, marks the 69th nice landing attempt on Just Read the Instructions.
Excellent. Max, do we have you back?
I would sure hope so. Do you have me loud and clear?
Loud and clear, good buddy.
Wonderful. Yeah, that was... Welcome back to the Space Coast, man. That was textbook. And these clouds and this wind reminds me a lot of what CRS-20 was. I mean, the winds aren't quite as strong, and they are blowing roughly in the same direction. But golly, you know, there's nothing like watching Falcon 9 soar into a night sky from only 4 miles away. That sound is magnificent, and it was a beautiful display too. From this perspective, it just pierced the very bottom or the very outside ring of that lunar halo or moondog just above our head. But the cloud layer made it a little bit tricky to track the second stage, but luckily the entry burn was just below that cloud layer on the horizon, so we got that all the way, and it was beautiful.
That was a very beautiful capture of not just the launch, but that entry burn as well. That was fantastic. So great job, Max. I can't wait to see Julia's photo. Julia, please show us your photo as soon as possible.
I do want to point out, Max, that chat is going crazy for you here, saying fantastic tracking and that you crushed it. So just wanted to point that out to you, and I completely agree.
I'm just doing my best here, gentlemen. But thank you, though.
I would also agree. Max crushed it in the same way that he crushes my heart every time he calls Starhopper Hoppy.
Jeez. Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Oh,
You
man.
guys crush my heart all the time with all these stubby jokes, man. Come on. It's not fair.
Well, they'll dish it out if you can't take it, man.
Oof, that's true. Fair, valid point.
Excellent stuff. We have a store message from Jacob. Max, can you guess what the store message from Jacob is?
No. I haven't
stubby
the first
nozzle
clue.
bad.
No. How dare you?
Good deal. All right, well, the second stage is continuing to do its thing, powering the Starlink satellites into orbit, or are we already at SECO, Sawyer?
At this point, we have had SECO 1. That is second engine cutoff 1, which is the first shutdown. It will now coast for about 50 minutes or so before reigniting for a very long, you ready for this? 2-second burn. I don't know if we can handle that length of burn. Uh, that will be followed about 10 minutes later by the deployment of those Starlink V2 mini satellites into their first final orbit, so to speak, which is expected to be about 285 by 293 kilometers before eventually lifting themselves up into the 530-kilometer circular orbit that is common with all of these 6- missions.
Excellent. All right, well, I think we have a Julia photo coming in hot here, so standing by for that. We have a question from Matrix, since we're looking at it right now. Matrix is asking, is work continuing on the crew tower, or is it already complete?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just caught a peek of Julia's picture that we're going to get to shortly.
Look at that.
Well, they can't look at it yet. They got to stick around to see it. But yes, we don't know exactly what work is left, but the crew access arm itself has been attached. There are still the cranes that are out there, so it's very likely they're doing work. And if you're wondering what it really looks like and how they're doing with the progress, stay tuned to the YouTube channel in a few days, as we just completed our KSC flyover today. So video coming very, very soon. And members get all of the juicy photos a little early.
They do indeed, and I'll just say this flyover is a exceptional one for a variety of reasons. So if you're not already subscribed, be sure you subscribe, and if you're not already a member, consider becoming one so you can get access to all of that juicy, as Sawyer put it, imagery. Speaking of juicy imagery, are we able to show Julia's photo on stream? Please.
There it is.
Excellent. She even got the moon dog. Julia, fantastic work.
Thank you, Jack. I told you it was a very, very pretty launch.
Yeah, I once again am jealous of the pressure wave thing. That is like so cool. But fantastic work all around. Beautiful photo.
By the way, does anyone know why those moon dogs form?
Explain. It's ice crystals in the upper atmosphere or something? Explain.
Ding, ding, ding. Yes, it's a phenomenon in the atmosphere where basically you get these really cool, specially shaped ice crystals. They're usually hexagonal. It happens in cirrus clouds, the kind of wispy ones that we've been seeing tonight, and it will create that sort of glow. And it's also nicknamed the 22-degree halo because, well, it's typically appears at around 22 degrees to the left and right of the moon.
So really, it's just ice crystals? You can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Oh, I meant to say Cirrus. I blew it. I blew it, Sawyer.
Well, if you want, the actual meteorological terminology is parasaline, but yeah.
I'll take it. All right. Well, thank you to I don't even know how to say this name. Thank you to the person who says, "But him is a hoppy boy," with the super chat. Abonia?
XO Abiona XO.
There you go.
That's the spirit. There you go.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for watching tonight's launch of Starlink satellites into Abina. They're correcting us in chat. Abina. There you go.
There we go.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Sawyer, thank you for joining me and providing your knowledge and wisdom as always.
It's my pleasure. You know how much I love these late night Starlink launches, genuinely. So always great to share it with everybody. Good to see some familiar names and faces, and good to have some of the people down from Starbase talking about Cape stuff.
Yes, indeed. And Max, also, thank you for rolling out and operating the camera with such dexterity and skill.
I don't know about that much, but thank you very much, everybody, for having me. It's a pleasure as always, and I will see you all for the next one.
Good deal. And Julia, thank you for providing your awesome photography and awesome commentary.
Thank you for having me. It has been a honor to see you all and our viewers.
Little bit of robot there, but I think we got the gist.
I promise her photos are always better than the voice comms there, so definitely check out her socials as well.
Yeah, everyone's info is popping up on the top right there. Make sure you give them a follow. Also, operating tonight's stream, we had Jay Keegan. Jay, thank you for operating the stream, pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, running in the giant human-sized hamster wheel to make this whole thing work. Huh. All right, well, 23 more. There's a pun token.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate the fun token very much. I will use it, don't worry.
Good deal. Well, with that, with those 23 Starlink satellites on their way into space, we will leave y'all, but don't worry, we'll be back for the next one. But until then, later, nerds.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Rolling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly! Yes! They go down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange!
Orange 25! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What do you think?
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go. Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.